You ever feel like no matter how far you go in life, no matter how much you accomplish, there's still a part of you that always belongs to where you started? Like deep down, you're still that little sibling, that kid in the corner watching your older brothers do their thing, and even now, you'd do anything to protect them? That's exactly what it's like for Janet Jackson. Yeah, we all know her as a pop icon. Her music's been everywhere. Her fashion, her moves, her voice, legendary. But behind all of that? She's still just their baby sister. Always has been. And no matter how famous she gets, she never lets anyone forget that. Recently, she reminded the world again. Not with drama. Not with big headlines. Just quiet love. And real support. The kind that doesn't fade, even when the cameras stop rolling. This video? It's not about gossip. It's not about tearing anyone down. It's about how Janet, in her own quiet, strong way, keeps showing up for her family. Especially her brothers. Especially Michael. And honestly, the way she's done it? It says a lot. About loyalty. About love. And about what it means to stand by the people who raised you, even when the whole world is watching and judging. So stick with me. Because the more you hear about this, the more you'll see why Janet Jackson is more than just a superstar. She's a sister. A protector. And forever, their baby Janet. Let's start from the beginning. So, imagine this. You're the youngest in a family that's already world famous. Your last name? Jackson. Everyone knows it. Your brothers are touring the world, topping the charts, getting chased by screaming fans, and you? You're just a little kid watching it all happen around you. That was Janet. She grew up in a household full of talent. Full of pressure. And full of expectations. Now, most people would have either crumbled under that pressure or just coasted on the family name. But not Janet. She chose something different. She created her own path. When she released Control, she was basically saying, "Hey, I love my family, but this is my life now." And people listened. Because it wasn't just about catchy songs, it was about a young woman finding her voice in the middle of a very loud family legacy. And then came Rhythm Nation. And Janet. And The Velvet Rope. Album after album, she kept proving she was more than just a Jackson. She was Janet Jackson. Full stop. But here's the part that a lot of people miss. Even as she climbed the charts, even as she became one of the biggest stars on the planet, she never let go of where she came from. She never forgot her brothers. Especially Michael. You remember those dark times, right? When the media turned on him. When the headlines were cruel. When people distanced themselves, trying to protect their own image. Janet didn't do that. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She didn't say, "That's his problem, not mine." She stood by him. Not with press conferences or dramatic speeches. But with her presence. With her silence. With her love. She was right there. At the memorial. By the family. Holding it all together when everything else felt like it was falling apart. And recently, she did it again. But in a way that was so subtle, you might have missed it if you weren't paying attention. During one of her concerts, there was this moment in the visuals, this quiet, powerful moment, where she showed old footage of herself and her brothers. Her dancing with Michael. Her playing as a kid. Just being that baby sister. And over that footage, she said something simple: "They taught me everything. I owe them everything." Phew. That hits different, doesn't it? Because in an industry that changes people, in a world where loyalty is rare, Janet still says it with her whole heart, "I'll always be their baby." She even said it in an interview not too long ago. When someone asked her how she sees herself in the family, she smiled and said, "I'll always be their baby." That never changes. And it's not just something she says, it's something she lives. She's not out here making a big show of her loyalty. She doesn't need to. Instead, she lets the quiet moments speak. The subtle tributes. The choice to support without shouting. Now here's where it gets even deeper. Janet could have easily leaned on the Jackson name to boost her career. Think about it, her last name alone opened doors. But instead, she worked harder. She wanted to prove she deserved a seat at the table, not just because of her family, but because of her talent. Industry insiders have said over and over again, Janet fought for her creative control more than most artists ever dared. She knew what she wanted. She knew the kind of music she wanted to make. The story she wanted to tell. And she wasn't afraid to stand up for it. That's why Control hit so hard. It wasn't just music, it was a statement. A declaration. I'm in charge now. And it worked. She created her own legacy. One that stands next to, but never behind, her brothers. But even with all that success, she kept her private life private. And that's probably why she's still respected the way she is today. She didn't chase the spotlight outside of her work. She didn't play the fame game. She just focused on what mattered. And that includes her family. Even now, she's helping her nephews navigate the music industry. Not with flashy headlines, but behind the scenes. Giving advice. Providing support. Being the kind of aunt every kid deserves. She knows how tough the industry can be. And she's not about to let the next generation go through it alone. That kind of love? That kind of quiet guidance? It's rare. And it's powerful. Because it tells you everything you need to know about who she really is. So yeah, maybe Janet doesn't make headlines every week. Maybe she's not all over social media sharing every detail of her life. But what she does share, it's meaningful. It's honest. And it always comes from a place of love. She's not just a pop icon. She's a sister. A daughter. An aunt. A protector. And even now, after everything, she still sees herself the same way. Forever their baby Janet. And honestly, that kind of loyalty? It's something we could all learn from. You know, it's easy to show up when everything's going well. When life feels good. When the spotlight's shining and everyone's clapping and nothing seems wrong. It's easy to support someone when they're winning. When they're loved. When the world is cheering them on. But the truth is, that kind of support, while beautiful, isn't always the one that counts most. What really matters is who's there when the lights go out. When the headlines turn ugly. When the crowds disappear, and suddenly, someone you love is left standing alone. That's when real loyalty shows up. That's when love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice. And you know what? Janet Jackson has made that choice, again and again, in ways most people never even see. Because it's not always loud. It's not always posted all over social media. Sometimes it's quiet. Gentle. Unshakable. The kind of love that doesn't need to be explained. The kind that says, I've got you, even when no one else does. And I think that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not about fame. Or music. Or flashy headlines. It's about family. And showing up when it's hard. When it's uncomfortable. When it might even cost you something. Because let's be real for a second, how many people in your life have stuck around during your storms? How many have really stood by you when things weren't pretty? And just as important, who have you stood by? Think about that for a minute. Who are the people that helped shape you? That saw something in you when you didn't see it in yourself? That stayed up late talking to you, listening to you, picking you up when you fell? Who are the people who never walked away? Maybe it was a parent. A big brother. A best friend. Maybe it was someone you didn't even expect, someone who showed up when you were at your lowest. And now, the real question is, how do you give that love back? Because sometimes we think love has to be big and loud to count. But it really doesn't. Sometimes, it's just staying close. Calling someone just to say, "Hey, I'm here." Defending someone even when no one's watching. Reminding them who they are when the world tries to convince them they're something less. Janet has done that for her brothers. Over and over again. Especially for Michael. She's reminded the world, without ever needing to shout, that loyalty doesn't expire. That love doesn't fade when things get messy. She's chosen to show up in the hard moments. The uncomfortable ones. The painful ones. And I don't know about you, but to me, that says more about a person than any award, any chart-topping hit, any red carpet moment ever could. Because when it comes down to it, fame is temporary. The spotlight always moves. But love, the kind that's real, the kind that lasts through decades, through scandals, through grief and heartbreak and misunderstanding, that kind of love is rare. That's the kind of love we need more of. So maybe this is your reminder. Your little nudge. To reach out to the people who've loved you quietly. To say thank you. To check in. To ask how they're doing. And maybe it's also your invitation to be that person for someone else. Because someone in your life, right now, might be going through something you don't even see. They might be smiling through it. Laughing like everything's fine. But inside? They might be barely holding it together. And your voice, your words, your presence, could be the one thing that makes them feel like they're not alone. So if this story about Janet and her brothers stirred something in you, if it made you pause and think about your own family, your own story, then do something about it. Leave a comment and tell me, what's one quiet thing you've done, or would do, for someone you love? What's one little act of loyalty that you're proud of? Or maybe even one you wish you had the chance to show. Don't be shy. These are the kinds of moments that connect us. You never know who's reading your words and thinking, wow, I needed that. And while you're here, if this story touched you, if it reminded you of something important, take a second and check out the video we made on Michael's final years. Because once you see what he went through, once you really understand the pressure, the pain, and the way the world shifted around him, you'll understand even more why Janet's quiet loyalty means so much. You'll see why her being there mattered. And hey, if this video meant something to you, if it made you reflect, or made you feel seen in some small way, I'd love it if you gave it a like. It helps more than you think. And if you're not already subscribed, join us. This channel isn't just about pop culture. It's about real stories. Real emotions. Real people who remind us what matters most. So go ahead, subscribe, stick around, and if you know someone who gets what real loyalty feels like, someone who stood by you or someone you've stood by, share this with them. Because these kinds of stories, they're meant to be felt together. They're reminders of the good in people. Of the bonds that don't break. Of the love that doesn't leave. And honestly, the world could use a little more of that right now. So before you click away, just take a second and think. Who would you fight for, no matter what? Who would you stand by if the world turned its back? And, who would do the same for you? Cherish those people. Keep them close. Because they are rare. And if you have people like that in your life, people who've always had your back, even in the dark, don't let too much time go by without letting them know. Say something. Do something. Even the smallest gesture can mean the world. Because at the end of the day, the most lasting thing we have isn't fame. Or money. Or recognition. It's each other. It's love. It's loyalty. It's the quiet moments that nobody sees but we never forget. That's what lasts. That's what matters. So thank you for being here. For listening. For feeling this with me. And wherever you are right now, whoever you're thinking about, I hope you tell them. I hope you show them. Because even the strongest people, like Michael, like Janet, need someone in their corner. Someone who doesn't flinch when things get hard. Someone who stays. Be that person. And don't forget to take care of yourself too. You matter. Your story matters. Your love matters. Always. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.